If you're Canadian, then you've definitely heard of the popular coffee and donut fast food chain Tim Hortons. However, I'm sure a lot of you don't know how he came to his untimely and tragic death. So, in honor of his legacy, I decided to make today's video. For those of you who don't know, Tim Horton was a Canadian professional ice hockey defenseman who played 24 seasons in the National Hockey League. He played for the Toronto Maple Leafs, New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Buffalo Sabres. And in 2017, Horton was named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. He was born on January 12, 1930, and sadly passed away on February 21, 1974. Horton once played 468 straight games for the Leafs in the 1960s and finished with 1,446 games played overall. So, with that backstory, let's get into his very sad and tragic death. Tim Horton, at the age of 44, was driving home to Buffalo after a game against the Leafs and lost control of his sports car, doing a speed of over 160 kilometers per hour, or 100 miles per hour for all of my non-Canadians out there. It is believed, but not definitely known, that Niagara police were in pursuit of the car for its excessive speed at the time before Horton lost control of the speedster on a curved section over the 12-mile creek. The car slid off the highway, then hit into a concrete drainage, causing it to flip multiple times. Horton, who unfortunately wasn't wearing a seatbelt, flew out of the passenger door, landing nearly 25 meters away. The police pursuing him were first on the scene, and Horton's was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. Oddly, the results of Horton's autopsy weren't released until over 30 years later in 2005. He was driving twice the legal limit for alcohol and has traces of an antidepressant, appetite suppressant drug in his system. Prior to opening Tim Hortons, he tried a couple of business ventures. In those days, a career in the NHL was both low-paying and short-lived, so many sought outside investment opportunities. In fact, Horton's best payday was a one-year, $100,000 contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 1971 to 1972. At that time, it was the largest contract they had ever signed off to a player. But prior to the success of Timmy's, Horton also tried owning a Tim Horton Motors in North Toronto and 2 Tim Horton hamburger and drive-in restaurants in North Bay and Toronto. That of which both endeavors failed miserably. That being said, for those Canadians too young to remember the player, his legacy lives on with his coffee shops. Horton left behind a wife, 4 children, and a flourishing donut shop franchise, which has since become Canada's largest food service operator and has pushed Canada's per capita ratio of donut shops to the highest worldwide. His pallbearers were former Maple Leafs teammates Alan Stanley, Bob Bond, Dave Keon, Dick Duff, Bill Harris, and George Armstrong.
Tim Horton's funeral drew a large crowd, too large to be crammed into Oriel York Mills United Church. Closed-circuit television was set up in the basement of the church so that the overflow crowd could watch the service. Cameramen and photographers were kept outside during the brief ceremony.
Surprisingly, the NHL did not cancel Buffalo's home game on February 21st against Atlanta.
We had a game the next day, and a lot of us, I know I didn't, I hardly get through the game, I couldn't stop crying. I was so upset. You walk into a dressing room, and all of a sudden you're looking at that stall, and it's empty.
And with that, now you know the very tragic and unfortunate death of Tim Horton. If you guys like this video or even found it interesting, then make sure to hit that like button right below because it really does help out the channel a lot. And make sure you subscribe for more content in the future. But with that, I'm going to sign off, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.